Game 1 of 82 is in the books, and everyone is drinking the green Kool-Aid, including me. Welcome into Arbella Early Edition. Amina Smith in for Trenny Casey. I know one game means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of the NBA season. However, you can't deny how good this team looks now and the potential of the rest of the season. Sure, Jaylen Brown had an off night with 11 points and has taken heat for that 35-second stretch in the fourth quarter that featured 2 turnovers and almost cost Boston the game. However, JB found another way to affect the game. Playmaking, led the team in assists and dished out passes that got the Celtics back in it. Remember, this team is yet to be a finished product, and with 81 games left, it's a long road ahead. Meanwhile, one guy who had no problem getting off to a fast start was Kristaps Porzingis.
And then Porzingis on the other end, caught the Knicks sleeping. Brown on the baseline, Porzingis for 2, back outside, Porzingis good look, buries a 3. Good luck stopping that.
I mean, he's really good. We are lucky to have him. I mean, he just makes us that much more dynamic. Obviously, with his size, ability to shoot, plays off the dribble.
Porzingis again, step back, long 3, and it goes.
You guys know I'm in a new relationship here, and you know, the first date could not have gone much better.
Barrett going to the basket, and
oh yeah!
Porzingis sends it back. Oh, that is huge. Unreal.
I love the way we played. I love the way we stayed in the game throughout all the tough moments. I'm excited about what's coming ahead of us.
Think about the history of the Boston Celtics. Every player's debut, and Porzingis had more points than any other player.
If he plays like that, yeah, championship, you bet. He's not going to be there. 38 minutes. 38 minutes up and down the floor. He ain't going to make it, folks. He ain't going to make it, but enjoy it while it lasts.
Felger just raining on everybody's parade. We got the Boston Globes, Gary Washburn here with us, Phil Perry as well. Before we get to you guys, we want you guys to join the conversation by voting in our poll. What are your expectations for Porzingis this season? NBA All-Star, All-NBA solid starter, or injury waiting to happen? Go to NBCSportsBoston.com/early edition to vote or scan the QR code on the screen. Gary, you heard Felger just raining on the parade. Porzingis had 30 points last night, 4 blocks as well, 8 rebounds. Can you see Porzingis replicating a performance like that or sustaining it for the rest of the season?
Okay, he's not going to average 30 points a game.
No.
But he'll have more games like that than not. I think he'll be just such a difference on the defensive end. If you looked last night, they had to pull Mitchell Robinson, who's kind of lives in the paint. That's his domain. He's not like to come outside. They had to pull him outside, so there was so many open shots for the Celtics and so many open shots for Porzingis. So I think this goes well. Like Felger does mention his health. He's got a health history, but he played 65 games last year. Celtic fans, I would expect 65 games this year out of Porzingis. I don't think he goes 75 or 80. You just have to make sure he's okay. He's 7'3", he's got the knees, the feet. Remember, he tore his ACL a few years ago in New York. So just be careful if the Celtics need to and nurture him, but make sure he's on the court not almost every night, almost every night, and he can replicate this. He can do 30s on occasion.
Yeah, if we had another option on our poll there, Amina, that said good starter, above average starter. Solid starter is not quite enough to me, but I'm also not going all-star just yet. I'm also not on the other end of the spectrum, the Michael Felger end of the spectrum. That take will have longevity, by the way. He can't be wrong until the season's over. He can't be wrong until June. He could just sit back and wait however many months that is and say, just wait. Just wait. It's going to happen eventually. So we will be hearing this from Mike and from others who look at Kristaps Porzingis and look at his history and wonder how long will it last. I'm with Gary. It won't be like last night. It won't last like last night. But I think he's a critical element to this team. I mean, it's not just because of all the step-back threes and the great-looking shot. I thought defensively, he was a game changer. The rim protection element that he brings to the table will be huge for them this season.
Our producer, Cap, says stop being so picky with the options there, trying to
give me more options, Cap. I won't be picky. Come on, what, do we run out of space?
Gary, maybe we run out of space. And Gary, when you take a look at Porzingis, will he be the piece to take this Celtics team over the top when you talk about championship teams?
I mean, he does make them a championship team. You just see it, like his ability to shoot from the perimeter, his ability to block shots, ability to run the floor. He's a lob threat. I mean, he's Robert Williams, and obviously not the lob threat Robert Williams was, but just an upgraded version offensively. A guy that they can, Robert, you throw the ball in the paint, he's going to look to pass unless he's right at the rim. Porzingis, hey, you want him to hit a 16-footer, he'll do that. You want to hit a 30-footer like last night, he'll do that. And he's going to draw bigs away from the paint to open up for driving abilities for Brown and for Tatum and for White and for Holiday. So I think this makes them obviously a championship caliber team. But Felger does refer to his health. That's going to be an issue because he's never played an 80-game season. So something's going to come up. They just have to be careful for it.
Well, 57% right now, they say that Porzingis, he's going to be an all-star. That's what people are. I think people, like I said, they're drinking the green Kool-Aid after last night. One game of 82. I feel like, it's overreaction. What day is today? Thursday? Overreaction Thursday after the season opener. All right, with Porzingis shining, Jaylen Brown taking a step back. He was held to 11 points, taking just 11 shots. Last season, Jaylen took fewer than 11 field goal attempts in a game just twice, once in the blowout and once when he suffered an injury. Look, guys, I'm not worried about Jaylen Brown. He averaged 26 points per game last season. And then we came into this year talking about how this is Jason Tatum's and Jaylen Brown's team. But Phil, when you take a look at Jaylen Brown and the situation that happened last night, again, only one game out of 82, who is going to be the number 2 superstar on this team? Is it Jaylen Brown, or will Porzingis rise to the occasion and become that number 2?
I think for the majority of the season, it'll be Jaylen Brown. The track record is there. The experience with Jason Tatum and others on this roster is there. And I'm not worried that it's going to look like it did last night for Jaylen Brown, just as we're not anticipating Kristaps Porzingis' performance will continue. 11 points, that's not going to keep going. However, I would say this. I am a little bit worried about his psyche. Might be a little bit strong, but I'm a little worried about his psyche if he feels like he's not as involved as he could be because Kristaps Porzingis is there. I think they ran into this at times, even when it was just Jason Tatum as the number 1, and you're sort of vying for who's the guy, right? Especially late in games and who's getting more looks and who's getting more opportunities. So I do worry a little bit, Gary, if Kristaps Porzingis has a number of games like this one, even if it's not going to be a consistent thing throughout the course of the year, does Jaylen Brown at all feel hurt by the fact that he's not as involved as he could be and maybe not growing his brand as much as he could?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Okay, so he wants to live up to the contract. He's the highest paid player in the NBA. He's going to hear that every night on the road and probably sometimes at home when he doesn't do all that well. I don't think no one besides Tatum and Porzingis had a really good offensive game last night. They scored half their points. Like Holiday was White had his moments, and Jaylen tried to get himself going from three-point land. It didn't work, and so and then he had that really bad stretch, the foul, the turnovers. But I thought he also made some good on-court decisions, some good passes. There was one time where he had the ball and he just took it to the rim on a break and got to the rim, got the layup, didn't try to do too much fancy stuff with his dribbling. As we all know, his handles can be questionable. So I just think he has to make the right on-court decisions. And like you said, he'll have his nights where he'll have 20, 25 shots. And there'll be times where Tatum has 16, 17 points, or Porzingis has 8 or 10 points, or it might be Derek White's night. This is what you bought in for. 5 basically all-star caliber players on the floor at the same time. This is what's going to happen. All the guys are going to have to be unselfish.
And do you see Jaylen Brown making that sacrifice if Porzingis steps up as that number 2 guy on this team this season?
I do think he does, especially if they win.
Yeah.
Now, if they're losing and they're 10 and 12 or something like that, get off to a slow start, I think he might have an issue. But I think Jaylen wants to be the most complete player he can. If he increases his assists and his rebounds, and as he said on Media Day, plays better defense and becomes a defensive stopper on this team, I think his value soars. It was one game. Well, let's see what happens Friday against Miami and Monday against Washington. But I think he'll be fine.
If that's the byproduct of this, this acquisition, where you get Kristaps Porzingis and he becomes a better overall player, Jaylen Brown does because of it. His defense gets ratcheted up. He becomes a better ball handler. He becomes more of a playmaker. Oh my God, what a boon!
I'm about to say that's not a bad thing at all
for him. Amina, it's just he's been such a scorer, and that's how we all think of him. I just wonder how quickly we will see that multifaceted game.
That's why I look at it last night. I'm like 11 points, but he led the team with 5 assists, so I'm not mad at it.